Accidentally bought a cemetery, now what? Our family purchased what was left of what amounts to a failed development. 8 smaller lots with 2 40-acre plots meant for future development. The listing was not clearly written, but as we worked through the purchasing process it was cleared up and we identified all the pins and was able to verify each one with the county GIS system and was clear on what we purchased and the contract was accurate. Fast forward several months, we get our tax assessment document from the county and had 2 parcel documents. First included all the acreage of the 10 parcels lumped for deed still considered separate pins and one for a smaller parcel that did not line up with any of the pins we purchased. Called the tax office and they explained that I owned it and was included with my purchase since it was part of the development that we bought out. Okay, so this does not sound correct. Call my attorney to have it reviewed. After review my attorney does confirm we own it. Statement: I never imagined saying, we own a cemetery. Now what? Before I go into the below, we do find he's fairly comical and at the moment not too stressed about it, but for sure wondering what does this actually mean for us. This is located in North Carolina. North Carolina, like many if not all states, allow for tax exemption for properties like this. I have already filed the form with the county tax office to make the parcel tax exempt. That was easy to do. I have not even looked at the lot yet, will do this weekend. We never looked at this because it was not contiguous to our purchased property, and though I knew it existed was not concerned with it. From street view I can see between 6 and a dozen headstones that look fairly modern. It also looks like it might be somewhat maintained, but also could just be the power company keeping its right of way for power lines cleared, hard to tell from street view. Size of entire lot is 0.3 acres, so does not appear anywhere near being fully used as burial space, but need to visit to confirm. This weekend I will document all the information from each headstone and research if I can find any decedents. Verifying with our insurance company, but fairly certain we are covered under our umbrella liability policy. I am having a hard time figuring out what are obligations, what are our liabilities, what options do we have for this space. One upside: no need to purchase a cemetery plot. Conservation easement, get paid to do nothing with it and have DNR come and fill it with native plants. Honestly, I just keep it as is and maybe beautify it, as another commenter mentioned. It's a novelty, and since it doesn't seem like it'll negatively affect you in any way, I'd just keep it and be like, yeah, I own a cemetery. I owned a cemetery. Great business. Everyone was dying to get in. See if you can locate it on. Is it an active cemetery or an old, historic one? Build a Victorian-style house on that lot. Operate it as the haunted house it'll become after destroying a graveyard? Profits. Pop those graves open and see if there's any solid loot in there. Think of it like Storage Wars, only you need a shovel and there's more ghosts. For a real answer, I think the statutes have been listed above. There is also a process to have the county or city appoint someone to care for an abandoned cemetery. Check with your local historical preservation people. There may already be someone. See 65 111 or 168 344 345. Figure out who is buried there and who managed the burials. If I were you, I'd either turn it into a family plot, or donate it to your preferred local church or religious organization. Get a nice tax write-off for the donation. You might be able to do donation over time if you're okay with owning it with the donee until your donation is complete. Might be morbid, but our cemetery have shown outdoor movies on their property. And some have Sunday picnics. This sounds like the plot of Schitt's Creek or the like, lol. So you are getting some great and funny answers, but here is what I have seen. Never experienced this firsthand. Near me, there was a large farm bought and turned into a hundreds of homes development, complete with family cemetery. They planted an arbor vitae wall all around it. Now you can't seal it. They left a gap so any family member or can visit. The gap faces the road. I haven't been by there for a while, but someone was caring for the grave area not overgrown. Maybe that was an agreement upon sale? Dunno. Well, if it's active, start selling plots. How much did you pay for the cemetery? Interesting story. Start growing a veggie garden. I'm dying to know how this turns out. Schedule for move-in date. This is the type of stuff I am signed up to this sub for. Film yourself going in there. Do stuff like reno the headstones, put on YouTube and TikTok for money. Bonus points if you use one of those fake ghost sounds maker thingies. And question whether it's haunted or not. I've seen people doing this. Whatever you decide to do, just don't be a deadbeat. You are super lucky. Do some research on investing in cemeteries. Number 1, they're hard to come by. Number 2, people will pay to be buried in them. This is really awesome for you. I think you're going to be thrilled once you get your legs under you. And all the dead guys' legs under you too. Ever think about starting a funeral home? They make great money. Isn't this information required in disclosures, and if this was not disclosed prior to the sale you have legal means to recoup your money? There is a small cemetery in my city from the 1800s in what is now a very affluent neighborhood. It's accessible, viewable from the street, and people own homes all around it. It has members of a prominent family that once lived there, plus other important people and soldiers, about 50 in all. The person that owned it donated it to the local historical society, who now maintains it. You seized dead people. Wow, congrats and good luck. Please report back to us with your finding in this very interesting story. I would get a lawyer. You could discuss who's responsible for the mess up. Also see what the title company is responsible for. Congrats, you finally have a place to rest. Combine all of the lots to the cemetery plot and don't pay taxes on any of them. Grew up with the church cemetery butting our backyard. Mom, well, you couldn't ask for quieter neighbors. As someone suggested, maintain as a courtesy to the departed and their families. One day, someone will come looking for a lost relation. Check with local state requirements for cemeteries. Some states have trust requirements to maintain the grounds and the grave sites. Someone has probably already said this, but whatever you do, don't dig up the bodies and build a housing development on the land. That's how you get poltergeists. Please post photos after you visit, we need an update on this. Evictions are gonna be a bitch. Just ignore it, build a house and invite some teenagers to spend the weekend. Raise the rent and start the zombie apocalypse. Make lemonade. This is kind of awesome. Bury us. Holy smokes, you struck plots. I imagine you would have to provide a way for families to access the cemetery. In other words, you couldn't landlock it. I hope it's on the outside perimeter with easy access to a road. The plot thickens. Bring the kids and shovels. You can play Wake the Dead and not even be arrested since it's your land. Poltergeist 4. Can you bury me for free, please? Time for grave robbing to pay the vig. Get out in your local community and start building demand. That sound like the beginning of a horror movie. Use it as a selling point. Neighbors are very quiet. I saw a movie where the developers removed just the headstones and then put up houses. They're here. Lease it for hunting? This was an unexpected but interesting post. The comments are wonderful as well. Is there not a rule here to keep the professional Reddit comedians out? I hate these threads that I'm very interested in learning something and the Reddit Eddie Murphys come out in full swing with the lame recycled jokes we've all heard 1,000 times. SMH. Fucking cornballs. The location's great, but the neighborhood's a little dead. A niche sex club. Rent it to local Satanists for rituals.